Collection Edition with 2 of the expansions.
Just one.
Just one.
Spirecrest.
Spirecrest. Yes, I have the rules right here in front of me. So
I'm going to move this out of the way now.
yay! So this is a very happy-go-lucky card game. Woodland creatures and all. And basically, you play cards to build a city. And you try to gain as many victory points as possible. And it is very woodland creature-esque. You've got this beautiful tree up here that houses event cards. The deck typically goes in here, and you've got the little woodland creatures, your workers, that eventually get over the course of the game.
Did these fit in sleeves? I can't recall. I guess they do. Barely.
Yes, they do.
Yes.
Yes. So let's move on to quality of pieces. Guys, they did an excellent job for this game. You've got the beautiful metal coins. The resources are absolutely fantastic. I love the fact that you can actually have mounts in this game.
Cards look great.
Cards look great.
The only complaint and they've corrected it since, was this is the very first printing of it. The wooden pulls roll really badly, and they fixed it since. The new versions have like
knobs.
little knobs and stuff so they don't roll. These will roll right off the table. Apart from that, everything's top notch.
Now, these bowls they don't come with it. I've printed these bowls quite a few times. So,
But I don't know if the new Kickstarter that just went live on this actually has their own built-in upgrade pieces that are like shells and such to go with all the different items.
perfect. So, I didn't need that.
But it's an add-on.
It is an add-on. So, I think really the only add-on you would actually need for this game, to be quite honest. Giving it a score, they did an excellent job, guys.
Yeah.
What do you give it?
I mean, from a quality of components, I mean, I didn't get the cards out of the sleeves, but these are, I'm assuming, similar in their texture. They're nice quality. All of the wooden figures are really well made, although I do have a damaged one. Of course, I have a damaged one. I've got a bunny that has a broken ear. But apart from that, I mean, it's all well made.
I love the resources. Spot on the resources.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's fun just getting the woodland critters out. I mean, and it's attractive. Obviously, it makes a table presence. I mean,
Sure.
That's more into theme, but it really does. The first thing you're going to notice is this game with the tree. So, I mean, I think this is probably a 10 as far as quality.
Oh, good. I wanted to say that, but I wasn't 100% sure. I was like, I want to say 10, because if you think about, okay, what could they do better? I got nothing. Like, except for the bowls, of course.
Well, no,
I would say the
one
tree.
thing, the tree. When you have to take it apart and put it together every time, and
so if you're going to play it a lot, you can potentially cause some wear and tear.
It'll peel. It's already peeling a little bit for doing that, but. Yeah,
why do you have to take away my
But
10?
again, they created an option where you can get a resin tree for this. It's pricey, but you can get a replacement for the tree if you want to have a permanent fixture in your room.
Well, I mean, the thing is if you wear this out so much, you obviously play it enough that maybe you do want a resin tree.
Yeah.
So I'm going to give this a 10 too. I love everything about this game. It is eye-catching and beautiful, and so top notch.
Yeah, it's gorgeous. You can't knock it. It's a 10.
So moving on to theme, I really enjoy this theme. You get to play woodland creatures. I love being the turtles because I love turtles, and it's a card. You're in a forest. Oh, sorry, and you're gathering. I'm just making a mess.
You're killing Spiny Norman.
So you go about, you gather resources, and you're trying to build your little woodland city. I love it. I'm giving. And as far as artwork, fantastic. Pieces, theme, I'm going to give this a 10 too, because it just really takes you into woodland critters.
I agree. It is a 10. I think it's a little bit too much wanting to maybe be a red wall type clone, but I don't want to take that away from just the art is fantastic. Quality pieces are great. It is a 10 thematically.
I mean, yeah, it sucks you in. I mean, you can't not look at this and say this is a critter with a critter forest, and all the cards have different art that has the different animals and anthropomorphic animals on them, and I mean it's beautiful to look at. I have to give it a 10 on this as well.
Rules. I think rules were actually pretty good too. I actually had to read the rules because Randy had to step away for work while we finished playing. And when I had to go look up things, they were easy to find. It was well broke down. Very easy to understand. The iconography's perfect, spot on. I can't say what I would do better to change the rules, but I'm not as familiar with the rules.
Fully true. The cards are problematic. Some of the cards are not as clearly explained as they should be, or we certainly saw that with Spirecrest. There's some of the rules, the cards in Spirecrest needed more explanation around them as far as how they to interpret them.
Well, the thing is so the one particular card, and we actually looked this up online because of the issues, was Gray's Cloak Hideout.
I'm trying to take away my victory.
No, because I still think you would have won. You beat us by.
But there's a lot of debate on there about this.
There
card.
is a lot of debate on this card.
Even like the designer was in part of the debate, but didn't answer the question. So it was kind of frustrating because he got in and said it's a card that's an exclusive card, and that's basically all he said. But it doesn't tell you how you use it. And so it seems overly powerful for what it is.
It is a powerful card. I took advantage of it, and now whatever. But
the way it reads, I would have played it like you played it.
Yeah,
and I have no qualms with him doing it. However, I do think that whoever the manufacturer is, the designer, they need to reevaluate and either do an errata on this card or have it make more sense, because right now you have this card and I feel like
it basically gives you the ability to do a critter or a construction up to 3 times.
Right.
And so the way it reads allows you to do it up to 3 times.
Yes.
So.
Yeah. And there's some pretty powerful
cards. Which is
cards.
very powerful.
Yeah.
I mean, my combo was that I could build with that. I had another building that comboed with it that reduced the cost of any critter or construction by any 3 resources.
Right.
So when I was comboing that, I was able to build some really expensive stuff pretty darn cheap.
Well, there's the
multiple
queen,
times.
which just gives you free.
Right, which I didn't take advantage of it with the queen. I didn't do it that way. It's just I only used it with that one.
Well, I know, but I'm saying there's nothing to stop you from doing exactly that too. And that's where a lot of the debate was on Board Game Geek, as far as what if somebody has a queen and they take advantage of this 3 times, and there was really no answer to the question.
And I did have the queen. I either I didn't think of it, or I was just all the cards I had looked at the type of cards I had in play, and I wanted to build those cards to get the most points I could.
Yeah. So I just think overall that card really needs to be looked at and reviewed.
Well, and the thing is, anytime you have a deck builder, it's always a challenge to have. I mean,
equally balanced.
That's why there's so many deck builders that have cards that are banned.
Right.
And so when you get into that, it's hard to manage and not to know every combination you're going to get of cards and all the impacts it's going to have.
And especially when you have people that intentionally looked at how can I break this game.
Yeah.
And they will figure out those combos.
Yeah. So let's give the rules a score, though, guys.
Wow, I didn't read
You
the
were the one
rulebook.
that was taking a measurement most recently, so you go first.
I feel like you're tricking me.
I'm just waiting for you to give your score so I can go a little bit lower.
I don't like
I mean, realistically though, other than the fact that we have some powerful cards that we found, overall that shouldn't affect the rules.
No, I think the rules were great. They're easy to read.
It's just a mechanic.
They're easy to read. They're friendly to read. You got big font. I love big font. Sorry, guys, I can't stand the itty bitty print. So for this one, I'm gonna give an 8.5. I mean, it wasn't like entertaining or anything. You get a 9 or a 10, but it was good, solid, big print. Loved it. Easy to find what I needed.
And I'll give it an 8. Because honestly, I want to take a little off because of the fact it really needs more explanation around cards. It doesn't have. I mean, the explanation for the cards that we saw in the book, exactly almost word for word what's on the card. That does you no good.
Honestly, I think most of the time that's good enough, right? Like one says gain a stone. Well, duh, gain a stone, right? But
if I'm looking at the card and I have to go to the book to question what it
Well,
means, the book should say something different than what the card says.
Or give an example, so that you can see it. It's just that you got to be careful that the examples that they give don't either ruin the game for you, which sometimes rulebooks do that.
Yeah.
Is that the examples they give either aren't applicable or they can ruin the game.
Yeah. So that's where my frustration is you go to the rulebook and they have a reference to the card, it should add more material than what the card itself says.
Dude, I would be okay with even an online, because as this gets bigger, right, there was another Kickstarter for it we've backed. They're going to add cards. Do an online thing where you look at the card, and if you got, and that, and obviously the ones that have more confusion around, you end up with a bigger database for it. And I think that should have, maybe they should consider looking into that. Or even some type of, something on Board Game Geek that, hey, here's the list of cards.
That's the forums, so that's what the forums are for.
Yeah, well, that was really hard to go through, too.
Before we get into gameplay, one of the things, this is a worker placement game. And obviously, if you can't tell from just the display here, it is a table hog. Yeah. This is with one expansion, and there's 4 total expansions or something. There's a lot to it.
Let's see. We got 2 that's unopened.
2 there, and there's 2 more coming.
And 2 more coming.
So there's just a ton of material for this game, and it's already overflowing.
This would take the full table.
Right. We were going to play 4-player on this, and there was no way this was going to happen with 4-player on this table. We would have had to have side tables, and maybe that would work.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a table hog, and it's a beast to put together and take down. It's not something that's easy to get out. It's going to take a while. So it's been sitting here for this review for a day or 2. It's gonna. I'm not looking forward to after this review.
You have 2 games to put away.
3, because we still have Nemesis downstairs.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh,
which is even more of a beast to take it out and take down.
I'm glad I'm not it.
So yeah, this is not one that you want to get out and just play one game and put it away, probably. Or else if you do, you just really enjoy setting up games.
Hey, there are some people that are into that. But it's not me.
As far as gameplay goes, it's basically it's almost completely a deck builder as far as your actions. You take worker actions to get resources so you can play your cards, and you're building up a city of up to 15 cards.
It's tableau building, not deck building, because it's not like you're playing.
It's not a deck. You're building cards to play to the deck, and you can only have 8 cards in hand. But you're not building a deck. I should say it is a tableau builder. You're building a set for your city. Some of which are action cards, some of which are resource giving cards. Some of them just give you
victory points.
So there's lots of different variety of cards. What Spirecrest adds to the game is basically it adds events that will negatively affect you during the gameplay. And that also adds power-ups that you get from season to season that give you special abilities and potentially
that's in relation to the path that you are generating for yourself. And I did like that because it was another place to take resources that you might be generating that you don't have anything to use for. So you can try and pick the type of adventure tiles you want that can spend those resources. And I was able to score a bunch of victory points. With my adventure tiles and one of the power cards, I scored 19 points off of that. It's huge.
I really wish that I would have picked harder travel tokens because I had so many resources left over.
You could have met them easily.
Yeah, I could have met them easily. I do think that piece of it was actually really good to have. Because if you play this game right, you do end up with a lot of resources. And I forgot how easy... Because you only can play 15 cards.
Right.
And if you play them right, you end up with a lot of resources. So I did like that. However, I am playing Woodland Critters. I want a happy go time with building. Why they give me negative event cards makes me grumpy. Because this is
supposed to... droughts happen.
Yeah. Even to Woodland
Not
Critters.
in my fantasy Woodland Critter game, okay? I just want to build, okay? And so in that aspect, it almost kind of ruined the theme for me a little bit because...
You've never watched Secret of Nim, have you?
Such a good movie.
It is a great movie. But Woodland Critters, bad things happen to them.
It's a little depressing.
Yeah. Or Watership Down for that matter.
Even better.
That's even worse.
Why would I want to watch Woodland Critters have bad times?
Because they're good. Yeah. Good movies.
But the fact is I don't mind that. I think it's interesting because it affects everybody the same. It's not like it's going to hurt one player. It's everybody has the same.
And they did hurt. I mean, it really slowed the game down.
But
I think
in addition to giving you a penalty, they gave you a nice boon with all those cards that you get along the way, and you get the in-game scoring of the
got 19
that you
points.
chose.
I mean, I thought the events were well worth it.
Yeah. I mean, my thing is I think and maybe we just need to find a different game for me to do this. I want a game where I can build like crazy, because I all these games are like a balancing of trying to be like, oh, don't build too crazy. You know, there's stuff happening. I just want to be able to build better than other people.
It's like Fantastic Factory,
Imperial Settlers.
Imperial Settlers. That's what those are.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, the fact is I felt like the Spirecrest, even though I didn't get to play the game, I just the base game was
a little
shallow and empty to me.
I agree.
And I got a chuckle out of when I was reading Spirecrest that they went out of their way to say, if you play it with this, don't play with any of the other expansions the first time. And then I'm like, really? Because all you're adding is in-game scoring and some events. It's not like this is rocket science here.
It's not.
I did feel like before Spirecrest, when I remember, because it's been a long time since we played this, I thought that it was a fairly easy game, which is not a bad thing, but it didn't have a whole lot of meat to it. And then the Spirecrest did add just a little bit more. It made it a little bit more satisfying. Yeah,
personally, I found it boring by itself. If you were just playing the game Everdell by itself, it didn't have enough in it to me to make it that interesting.
Yeah, I kind of felt like the prettiness wore off towards the end of the game, and it just wasn't able to keep me engaged.
What are you playing? I'm playing a completely different game than you guys. I loved the
It's a very pretty
one.
game, and it's very thematically appealing, but it's just not. There's not much meat to the game.
Dude, all the cards of what you can do. Like, I mean, I know the first time I played, I kept using the cemetery, destroying critters, and getting more critters, and doing that. I didn't get any of those this game, which I'm really kind of bummed about. You know, that just, you know, the ruins, placing over buildings that didn't really, at the beginning had value, but like, okay, I want more expensive buildings.
Well, it's like we talked about earlier. There's a lot of tactics to it. There's not a whole lot of strategy to it. You know, because you're dealing with cards and, you know, dealing with those cards as you get them. So tactically, there's a lot to it. But there's not a whole lot of planning. There's a little bit, but not a whole lot where you can really strategize.
I strategize quite a bit. I mean, I know the cards in there, and there are certain cards that allow you to you know, name a card and go get the card that you want.
There's ways to mitigate the luck a little bit, but there's a lot.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the board, almost all of the spaces are just resource gathering spaces. I mean, there's not a lot of action spaces that do things that are different. It's all about getting resources.
That's the point of the cards.
I know. I understand. The card play is the only thing that makes it interesting. But once you hit 15, you're done. And
that's why I really like that they added that track, so I can.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's just to me, it was lacking. There wasn't enough to do in the base game.
Give it a score.
If I'm talking about the scoring of the gameplay alone for just Everdell, forgetting Spirecrest for a moment, I'm going to give it a 6.
We didn't play with just Everdell. We played with Spirecrest.
But we've played Everdell. We're talking about Everdell. We're talking about Spirecrest. Everdell, I'd give it a 6. With Spirecrest, the actions I personally didn't get to play, but I got to read through the rules before we started to play, and also got to take the end of the game actions for you.
I went to bed. Actually, I went for a walk.
So I'm going to probably weight it more like a 7.5 once you add on Spirecrest.
Do you think adding the other 2 expansions would increase your score?
I can't answer that because I know nothing about what those add. Now, obviously, this is my sister, one of her favorite games. So she loves this game, and she's played it with everything. So I'm taking it that it gets better with everything you add. I don't know. Sometimes you get a game and you add things, and it takes away from the game. So we'll see. Spirecrest seems to add. It doesn't take away, in my opinion. But
give it a score.
I said.
Oh yeah. You give it a score.
I think I want to go a little bit higher and I'm just rating it with Spirecrest. It's because I don't. Why take it apart? Because I don't see us ever playing it without it now, because I liked it that much. So I'm going to give it an 8, just because it is cute, it is fun to play the cards, and just overall experience of the game. It's an 8.
I'm giving it a 9. I love the card building aspect. I love what it does, and I love card building, and this is something great. The only thing is I actually when I go to play this game, I just want to build like crazy. The events kind of took away from that a little bit for me. But I'm hoping, especially if they add on the other expansions, adding more stuff, I think it would only get better. But I want to play this game when I just want to build like crazy. So
my only complaint is that we went through most of the cards. We went through almost all of them, and I never saw the opportunity to get a mount. I wanted a mount. I wanted to be able to.
First of all, you only play with a certain selection of the cards. You randomly select a number out, so
and
probably maybe not even into that.
But I wanted to get a rat on a moose. I thought that would be cool, and I couldn't do it.
And one thing we didn't talk about that's kind of important to this game is it's really a solo play game. Even though you're playing with the same play time, you're playing with the other players and taking the same spaces. You're playing your own game, and you retire at your own pace. So
I like that.
I like that, but there is a little bit of interaction because there are cards that look at other people's tableaus, and then there's mean cards that Miranda likes to play that steal stuff from other people.
But your game,
Dad did it too to me. I don't
You did it first because then you gave him the card. It's the only reason why he did it.
But your game could end a half hour before the other players, and you're just out and sitting around twiddling your
thumb.
Which
is kind of interesting.
Serving drinks to the rest of the players, whatever you're doing.
You know what though? I would much rather have that than wait until the end of the round. So you're instead of like a 5 minute, a 10 minute, another 10 minute. I'm done 25 minutes early, and I can go get food. I can go get snacks. Mm-hmm. Tell me when it's time to add up my points.
I understand. I think there's pros and cons, and I think the pro is that you've got your own build that you're doing. You don't have, if you want to move to this round 2, you don't have to wait for everybody else to get to round 2. Mm-hmm. You can go ahead and do that. The cons are obviously you're going to potentially have a lot of downtime at the end as opposed to broken up throughout the game. And 2, it makes you feel like the game's kind of detached. You're not feeling like you're all part of one cohesive game.
Oh,
I personally don't feel that way when I play.
I'm fine.
But
then again, I don't want people up in my tableau. So
the thing is, this game is a good game that as Sarah gets a little older, we'll be able to introduce her to. She's going to love the theme. It's going to be very fun. I don't mind us backing it every time it comes out on Kickstarter because of that, because I know it's a game she'll really enjoy.
And I really like this game.
And I know you do too. So it's mostly I'm getting it for you, but I'm just saying this is something we'll be able to play with Sarah.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us. We had a blast tonight, and I hope you do too. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. We'd love to see you guys again. Thank you guys so much.
Bye. Bye.